Good evening and welcome to this Wednesday's edition of Conversations with God, narrated by yours truly, Carlos Head. Well, for a few moments I get with you and I share with you things that God has placed in my spirit, God has given to me on this day to share with you that we might be better, we might do better, we might build better. And that's always my goal or my hope, is that I share something with you that facilitates growth, facilitates change, facilitates, going from one aspect. We talked about always being on a journey, and you're quite welcome, Greg. Talked about always being on a journey and starting out and having to move through life travails and life ups and downs and life vicissitudes to actually get to destinations. And once we get there, then we're creating new destinations. But that we're always in motion. We're always on the move. We're always, and I don't want to use the word chasing, but we're always pursuing something. And I want to help us to be able to better navigate so that we can begin to create more consistent outcomes. Not that we're not creating outcomes that we desire here and there, but I just believe that we're all created to be dynasties. We're all created to be exceptional, phenomenal. We're all created to attain our desires and create the outcomes that we desire. And I've just come to realize that the difference in, for many of us, actually arriving at that place where we desire and not, it's simply just a matter of practice. Just a matter of going through the routine of having to do this thing repetitively so that we get better at it. Practice makes us better. Practice makes us better. I know many of us, I grew up in an era where they attempted to teach us that practice makes perfect. Practice makes us perfect, but practice doesn't make us perfect because we're all imperfect beings. We're imperfect individuals. And so if we are inherently imperfect, then I don't care how much practice you do, you'll never become perfect. And because we all have flaws, we're all imperfect. So the idea of perfection is just a false illusion that typically sets us up to create unrealistic expectations. You think I practice this, so I'm going to become perfect at it, or he or she, as it relates to maybe your mates or your children or whoever it is. If we practice it enough, we'll become perfect. Well, you're not going to become perfect, beloved. You can become better at it, so much so that you become extremely proficient in it. It becomes something that you become expert in, but perfection is something that we'll never quite arrive at. And said perfection as the model, again, creates unexpected and unrealistic expectations for us that then creates the framework for disappointment. So the goal has to be that we are practicing to become better, and we're practicing to become better, and we're practicing to become better. Because the better we become, the better the outcomes, the better we respond. The better we respond, the better outcomes. But we're not practicing to become perfect because, again, that sets up this idea in our mind that, well, you shouldn't make mistakes. You shouldn't do dumb stuff from time to time. I mean, hadn't we talked about this? Hadn't we gone over this? Hadn't we? Yeah, we have. And we're becoming better and better at it and better at it and better at it. So you have to understand we're all the sum total of who we've been throughout our lives. And I say that to say, for many of us, it has taken years to become the people that we are today. Good habits and bad habits. And the bad habits, in the same way, for me, it's taken 49 years to develop a lot of the bad habits that I've had. And the idea that, if you practice them, they're just going to go away. No, it may take years to unlearn those bad habits and to replace them with better habits. So we're practicing to become better, and we're practicing to become better, and we're practicing to become better. The illusion of perfection, it trips so many of us up because, again, we buy into the idea that, if we practice this thing enough, then, the quarterback is not going to throw an interception because we practice and he knows that, I go out on a down and out and 5 yards, I plant and I turn. So, we've practiced that enough, so we're not going to have any turnovers in this area. It's unrealistic. Now, you can become so proficient at it that it minimizes the possibilities of creating a turnover. It minimizes the possibility of a catastrophic incident occurring that then, creates hardship for you. But the idea is to practice to become better, and practice to become better, and practice to become better. And I know some of you may wonder why I routinely talk about what we can do, how we can implement certain things, how we can do certain things to create certain outcomes, unlike many of my colleagues. I know many of you are like, well, you're preaching, but it doesn't seem like you talk about God a whole lot. It seems like you talk about what we can do a whole lot to contribute or to create the outcomes that we desire, as if it's primarily about what we do. Whereas many of your colleagues, you hear them constantly preaching and talking and teaching about how if through our faith, if we would, then God will do. See, there's a contrast, and I know some may wonder, on the one hand, why aren't you always talking about what God will do, whereas it seems as if you're always talking about what we can do to produce the outcomes that we desire, how we need to assess things, because how we assess them is how we respond to them, and how we respond to them dictates largely the outcomes that we produce, and how what we produce create our lifestyles. I am a preacher, and I do love God, exponentially. And he's in everything that I say and everything that I share with you. But I talk about us primarily because we're the only wildcats in this, wildcats or wild cards in this scenario. In becoming and possessing the things that we desire, we're the only unknown. We're the only wild card in this whole scenario. See, because God is going to do his part. So I don't have to spend a whole lot of time talking about what God will do, because every day he wakes us up. At the turning of night into day, the opening act of each day represents God having done his part. So I don't have to, I shouldn't have to convince you that he'll do his part. See, because if you're listening to me and you're sharing in this conversation that we have, it speaks to the fact that God is doing his part. See, he's already set this thing up for us to attract what we primarily and most often focus on. See, he makes sure that whatever we focus on, we attract more of it. So I don't have to talk about, well, if you walk in faith and if you do this and God will, and because God is. It's not that he will, he already is. Every single day, every single hour, every single minute, every single second of the day, he is. Present tense. Not what he will do. The only mystery to this whole scenario with regards to whether we have or whether we not have is predicated largely on what we will do. And again, practice to become better. Practice makes us better. God is going to do his part. He shows up in the opening act of the play every single day. he says, I got you. If you trust me and do it's always a two-part scenario. You talk about dancing with a partner. It's always a two-step. It's God doing his part and us doing our part. He opens the door, but he says, now you got to walk through it. I'll lead the way, but I need you to walk and keep up with me. I'm not going to open the door, pick you up, and then carry you through the door. No. It's a two-step. It requires some partnership. And there's no doubt about whether I'm going to play my part, because day in and day out, hour and minute and every second of the day, I'm playing my part. The only mystery in this thing, the only wild card in this thing is whether you guys are going to play your part. So this is why I'm often talking about what we can do to make things better in this earth. Because our Creator, the source, God, whatever you call him, he's going to do what he does. He's consistently doing what he always does, which is make sure that, again, we are attracting what we focus on. He always makes sure that we reap what we sow. He said, I got my part down. I'm going to make sure that you attract what you focus on. I'm going to make sure that you reap what you sow. I'm going to make sure that I guide you in the direction towards the things that you desire and towards the things that I desire for you. I'm going to also attract to you the tools and the resources that you need to be able to attain the things that you desire. I'm going to do my part, which is why I don't spend a whole lot of time talking about what God will do. What God will do, because God is doing all the time. And again, if we would just align ourselves with what he's already doing for us, then, oh my God, practice, we would get better and better and better and better and better. That's the goal. Let's just get better today than we were on yesterday. And then if he wakes us up tomorrow, then let's just be a little bit better tomorrow than we were today. And that has to be, we're going to practice this thing. So tomorrow we're a little bit better. When that situation comes up again, because the test is coming, we're in this class and we know the teacher is you can count on the teacher giving us a test at the end of the week to go over what we've learned throughout the week. So we can count on the test coming. So we just must practice to become better. Practice makes us better and better and better and better. So again, I don't spend a whole lot of time talking about our Creator, because, you look around and it's evident when you see millions upon millions upon millions upon people in their right minds with strength in their bodies, able to communicate one person to another, with the free will to be able to think, to speak, to act according to our own desires. It's evident what he will and is doing. So I just, I deal with the wild card. I deal with what is uncertain in this scenario, and we are what's uncertain. We are the only part that has the propensity to then decide we're not going to do it or we're going to do it. So then it becomes my job to encourage us to do our part, to play our part in this game, to keep up and make sure that in this dance that we're doing with God, that he's not stepping on our toes and we're not stepping on his, but that we are aligned. That we are aligned so that, as he moves, we move. As he steps forward, we know to step back, and we just do this dance. We just do this dance. And it's harmonious. It's, what's the word? Syncopathic? You know the word. But we're together in this thing. And as he moves, we move. But I want you to understand that practice makes us better. So we have to decide then, if practice makes us better, what are the areas in my life that I need to practice? What are the areas that I can become better at? What are the areas that I've determined I'm going to become better at? Because God's going to do his part. Source is going to do his part. But what can I do? What can I practice in becoming better in an area of my life? How can I practice being better in my role or roles in my family? That's an important area for most of us. How we interact with our family. The environment and the atmosphere and the synergy in our homes. That's important for a lot of us. So then we have to begin to ask ourselves, what areas in my home can we practice, can I practice in becoming better at? Do I need to practice being more kind and considerate of the people that are in my home? Whether that be my spouse or my children. Let's think about that. Do I need to practice? Has it been said to me? Has it crossed my own mind that sometimes I can, seem to not be kind or considerate of what others may think or what they may feel or what they may be going through or what type of day they had? How can I be better in my roles in my family? Practice. Practice makes us better. Practice makes us better. Practice being more kind and considerate. Practice thinking about not just how your day was, but maybe how your spouse or your children's day were. Not just thinking about how you feel about it, but maybe how they feel about it. It's about just becoming better. The foundation, the nucleus for many of us is our home and our family. And we take that person out into the world. And when the world beats up on that person, then we come back to that place, to those people, for refreshing, as a place of refuge, as a place of respite. So then if that's our place of respite, then it says to us that we need to make this place. We need to practice so this place, so the people that's a part of this place become better and better and better and better. So we can practice being more kind, being more considerate. Maybe some of us need to practice being more understanding in our communication. And for many of us, that just means listening more than talking. So many of us, we think we're listening, but we're so busy talking that you can't listen and talk at the same time. That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we would listen. You can't understand if you can't hear it. You can't be more understanding if you don't even allow yourself to hear what's being said. And maybe that's your issue. Maybe you talk more than you listen. Maybe you just like to hear yourself talk. And maybe that's creating tension in your home. And you're wondering about how can we get better at doing this thing? How can we get better at doing this thing? How can we get better at producing the outcomes that we want? How can we get better at just operating and having peace in the home? Or operating with love in the home? Maybe it's just a matter of practicing listening more than talking. Practicing communicating with more understanding by maybe just listening more than talking. Maybe the route to getting better in your home, it involves being more assertive in doing what you can do to lighten the load of those that are in the home. Maybe that's how it becomes better. Maybe that's how she finds more time to be intimate. Maybe that's how, whatever it is, maybe that's how he finds more time to do the things that you want to do. Maybe it's just about practicing being a little bit more assertive, enlightening the load that someone else may be carrying in your house, easing their burden, just practicing. I mean, you're not going to be perfect at it. If it's not something that you've done, you're not even going to probably be good at it. But just because you're here today doesn't mean that you can't get better at it. Just because you've not seemed to notice that someone else in your home, maybe a spouse, is carrying a heavy load, and maybe you've been oblivious to that, just because you've been there today, practice makes us better. Just practice. Don't beat yourself up about what you hadn't done, because you can't change what you hadn't done, but you can get better at it. You can get better at it. You can begin to focus on it, because then you will begin to attract more of the things that you can do to lighten the load, because we attract what we focus on. So if it's about becoming better, then we practice, because practice makes us better. Maybe the area that you need to practice is being more affectionate, more tender with your mate. And not just with her body or his body, but being more affectionate and tender with their emotions. Maybe not just saying any and everything that seems to come up. If it comes up, it comes out. Maybe you need to be more tender. You need to practice being more tender, more affectionate with their emotions, with their spirit. Maybe you need to be not beat them down so much. It's just a matter of practicing. I mean, you can't change what you didn't do yesterday. You can't change that. But you can't just be affectionate and tender with their bodies and forget that they're humans with human psychology and human emotions. So you have to decide to practice being just as tender, just as affectionate with their emotions as you want to be with their body. Being just as tender and affectionate with their spirit, because you can't beat them down and then think that they're going to stand up. Come on. They're human. And we all are made of human emotions. You can't just tell them they're nothing and then think that they're going to go out and conquer the world. No, you have to become better at being affectionate and tender with their emotions. And women sometimes overlook this, because women think, well, he's a man, he cool, he got it. As if men don't have emotions. As if you can say any and everything to that man, and he's supposed to just go out in the world after he's been beaten down at home and be Superman. No. You want him to be better. You have to be better at being more affectionate and tender with his emotions and his spirit as well, because the world is constantly beating him down. And if he has to come home to be beaten down as well, then where does he ever get lifted up? And it's the same thing with men and how we interact and talk to our mates. I mean, it's not just one way. No, it's about the unit becoming better, which is why we have to practice these things, so that we become better at them, so that we produce better outcomes, so that our life is made better. It's about being better, doing better, that we might build better. And there's just some things that we can practice that would make us better. There's just some things that if we would practice, this is why whether you were in the band in high school, or whether you played sports, or whether you were on the debate team, or whatever it is that you did, you had to go to practice. Because practice makes us better. For some of us, we just need to model more healthy living. We just need to model more healthy living, and that will help the whole unit to be better. So be the change that you want to see in others. Just means for some of us, in our roles as a parent, in our roles as guide, in our roles as leaders in the home, just means that we've got to be better at being and modeling healthy living. Whether it means we've got to begin to practice eating more healthy or eating healthier. Whether it means we've got to practice actually exercising our bodies, exercising our minds by, reading or whatever it is that would stimulate our growth mentally. Just start practicing it. Start practicing and you'll become better. Many of us just decide, I'm not good at that, and then never practice at it. And then you're right, you're not good at it, and you're never going to become good at it because you've already decided that I'm not good. So that's justification for not practicing. But you don't have to stay where you are. God created us to grow in every facet of life if we would just practice. Practice it. Again, whether it be in our homes or whether it be with our gifts, our talents, that we're all born and birthed and blessed to possess. He didn't create not one of us without certain gifts and certain talents. But he said, just because I gave them to you doesn't mean that they're just going to grow. That you're just going to operate at a level of highly proficient in them. Just because I gave them to you. No, you've got to practice them. You've got to play with them. And you've got to treat them like they're your favorite toy. You know how it was when we were kids? You had that one toy, whether it was a video game. For me, it was, we had those little handheld football games. And, everywhere I went, you would see me with that. Or, if I was at my cousin's house, we were outside playing football. Or, we were playing Atari 2600. But it was something that you could constantly see me doing. And this is how this is how you become good at the PlayStation or Xbox. You practice. You're on it all the time. And this is how we get better with the gifts that God has given us. He didn't give those gifts to us for us to always be operating like a child with them. No, he said, I've given you those gifts because it's your gifts that shall bring you before great men and women. It's your gift that shall make room for you. But you got to practice it so that you become good at it. So that you become proficient at it. And the only way that makes it easy to practice it is to just look at it as being your favorite toy. Deciding that, okay, I don't mind you seeing me play this game. I don't mind you watching me play football. I don't mind you watching, the halftime show because I'm in the band and you're out there to see me. You've got to practice that thing and you've got to love that thing so much so that you're okay with putting it on display for others to critique it. So this is how you become better at that thing. You don't go and just hide it. No, you practice. And then you put it out there for others to see so that others might be able to critique it. So then you can begin to gauge. Yeah, some people are going to talk negative about anything and everything. So you can't listen to everybody. But there ought to be a circle of people that you can trust. That you believe will give you honest feedback. That will help you in your growth. But if you don't put it on display, then how can they critique it? How can they see it? And if you don't practice it, then how can you become proficient at it? And if you don't become proficient at it, then the human psychology is going to create within you, well, maybe I'm just really not that good at it. And how many of us keep, pursuing things that we think that we're not good at? that we're not going to become good at. But we can become better at it if we would just practice it. God's going to do his part. The only wild card is whether we're going to do our part. Your gifts and your talents, you have to use them. You have to practice them. This is the only way that we become comfortable using them. And it's in our comfort in using our gifts that then helps us to be more proficient with them. You know how it is when you're nervous and you real jittery because you're not sure that, I'm probably going to mess up at this. I'm probably not going to be good at it. And it just becomes self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you practice it, if you put it out there and get used to the critique, if you use it enough so that you can become comfortable with it, then you become more proficient. You become better at it, and better at it, and better at it, and better at it. And that is the goal, to be a little bit better today than you were on yesterday. Some folks might still look at you and say, but you still ain't Les Brown, or you still ain't Oprah Winfrey, or you still ain't this, or you still not that. Okay, that's fine. But my growth isn't predicated on what you think. My growth is predicated on the fact that I can look back because I put my stake in the sand yesterday and I know where I was on yesterday. And today I know that I'm a little bit further along than I was on yesterday. So whatever you might think, however you might assess, if there's no enemy on the inside, the enemy on the outside can do us no harm, beloved. So don't you become your own enemy because now your growth is predicated on what other people think about you, how other people assess you. So much so that then what they believe is what you believe. No. If there's no enemy on the inside of you, the enemy on the outside can do you no harm. So, hey, just keep practicing because practicing makes us better. Just keep doing your thing. Keep walking day by day. Keep utilizing that gift. Keep working with that gift. Use it like it's your favorite toy. Keep at it. Keep at it. Keep at it. Just working and practicing to become better. And I can assure you, just as I'm bald-headed, that you will get better at it. You will get better at it. You study your outcomes. Study your outcomes. Use it, play with it, put it on display. Get comfortable with it because that helps you to become more proficient, and study the outcomes that you're getting. Again, not to beat yourself up, but to be able to track your growth. To be able to see, okay, and maybe that means you got to record yourself. Maybe it means you've got to use audio or video to record yourself actually utilizing your gifts, and then being able to take those clips that now you get to study and match them up with the outcomes that you're getting. And then it's only to be able to, okay, well, let me see how I can adjust maybe this. Because I practiced this and I practiced this, and maybe I didn't consider that. Maybe I didn't consider that, but when I have the ability to sit back and study that thing and look at the tape and look at how maybe I moved left when I could have, stayed right, it helps me to know then what to practice so that then I can become better, not just with my left hand, but now I know that I'm getting just as good with my right hand. So now I've got multiple options. So if you come at me this way, well, I'm proficient over there. But if you come at me this way, I'm proficient over here as well. So now I've become better at this thing. This is our gifts, beloved. It's our gifts that make room for us. And God says, I've given all of you gifts. I've created and blessed you all with an abundance of talent. You just got to practice them so that you become good at it. And one of the ways that we become better in our gifts, in our lives, is that we continually challenge ourselves to get better. It doesn't mean that you don't celebrate your growth, but it means, yeah, constantly challenging yourself. Hey, I can get a little bit better than that. Oh, I know I can produce a better outcome than that. And then don't get caught up on the outcome either, because you can't control the outcome. What you can control is what you put out. And as long as you're getting better with how you are putting this thing out, well, the outcomes are going to come. Because I told you God's going to do his part to make sure that you reap what you sow. So if you keep sowing good seeds, well, the tree may not come up in the first season, but it doesn't mean that delayed gratification is not a denial, beloved. No, you just have to keep planting those seeds, because he'll do his part to make sure that you reap what you sow. But you can't plant first grade seeds and think that you're going to get a 12th grade harvest. No. So you got to increase the quality of your seeds. And one of the ways that we do that is continually challenge ourselves. Come on, let's be a little bit better. Let's get a little bit better. Let's get a little bit stronger. Let's not respond to that the same way that we did then. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself with your gifts. Because you can get better if you practice it. We can all get better if we just practice. Whatever it is, if we just practice. Because practice makes us better. And as I said, the last area in this scenario as it relates to our gifts and our talents is to celebrate your growth, beloved. Celebrate your growth. That's the saddest thing imaginable. When I see people that actually grow, but won't even celebrate their growth because they're still not where they desire to be. And they just beat themselves up unnecessarily because you're growing, but okay, today you are a little bit further than you were on yesterday, so can you at least celebrate that? Give yourself credit for that. And if you keep growing, you'll get there. You'll get there, but it makes it hard to get there when you create your own headwind, because you won't even celebrate your growth. You put the gravity in your face and you say, push me back. Because again, however you assess it is how you respond to it. So if I'm negative in how I see this thing, because I won't even celebrate the fact that, I still got a little ways to go, but when I look back, I can see I'm not where I used to be. But if I see that from a negative slant or a negative perspective, then how do you think I'm going to respond? How I assess it is how I'm going to respond. And how I respond dictates the outcome. So if I start off negative, not willing to celebrate the fact that I am growing, then I'm going to speak about it negatively. Well, I ain't got nothing to celebrate. I mean, hell, I'm still, I should be way up here. If I hadn't did this, then I would be way up here. So, just beating all the little progress, all the celebration out of the progress that we have made. So then if I'm speaking negative, I'm thinking negative, I'm speaking negative, then guess, next thing, somebody's going to say something to me and I'm going to snap. I'm going to come out and say something sideways because I thought negative. I assessed it as negative. I spoke about it as negative, and then I'm going to respond negatively. And guess what that outcome is going to produce? Something negative. So again, you have to be able to celebrate growth, whether for you it feels like it was just a baby step, whether it just was tantamount to crawling. If you can find a way to be able to see that you have made a step, it gives you something to build momentum on, beloved. It gives you something to be a momentum on. You can't be a momentum, beating yourself back. I guess you can beat yourself on down and you can get really proficient at that. But if we're being attracted to the light, and just as the light is, causing the blades of grass to grow up towards the light, just means that we're all being drawn to the light in the same way that the light, the sunlight, causes the planets to orbit around them because they're being attracted to the light. Well, if we're being attracted to the light, then it means we're being attracted upward. This is why we call it upward mobility. We don't call it downward mobility, upward mobility. And it's hard to, climb a flight of stairs if you constantly tell yourself, well, man, I can't climb them steps. I ain't even, man. No, we get better. Practice makes us better, beloved. We can get better in our roles in our families. We can get better with our gifts. We can get better with how we interact and engage one another. We just have to practice it. We just have to practice it. And we can start by practicing the habit of seeing and searching for the good in people. Not, approaching people to discover their flaws. Not to approach this person, oh yeah, let me see how bad they are. Let me see what I can discover that's bad about them. Because, they think they're all that, but let me find something to remind them that they're not what they think they are. We all got flaws. And none of us like it when another person comes up to us seemingly with the expressed intent on finding some flaw in us and then trying to remind us of it and then telling us how, well, you need to improve in that area. Well, if we don't like it, then we can get better at it by then searching and seeking to find the good in others. It's how we get better at our interaction and dialogue with one another. But if you look around, we bought into the ideology that, well, I'm just supposed to see the negative in them. Because I'm not supposed to put my head in the sand and act like I can't see the negative. But you can turn your head to the right if you realize that you're focusing on the left. You can turn. Nobody is just all one thing. We're all multifaceted. We all have multiple personalities. We all do some good stuff and we all do some dumb stuff. It's just a matter of what you want to focus on. And I'm saying we can get better in our interactions with one another if we seek one another and approach one another and engage one another and interact with one another from the perspective of finding what's good in each other. This is how we get better. We just practice it. You might not be very good at it now, but it doesn't mean that you can't get better at it. Just have to practice it. If we're ever going to establish God's kingdom in this earth, if we're ever going to get past our tribalism, then we've got to begin practicing being open to dialogue and being tolerant of ideas and methodologies that may challenge our own ideas and methodologies, that may bump up against our own way of doing things. If we're going to ever get beyond, our selfishness and our, well, as long as, I'm okay, so whatever, none of us are islands. We're all interconnected, interdependent of one another. God said, I created you as a rainbow coalition. When you look up in the rainbow, at the rainbow, and you see the diversity of the rainbow, well, that is how I created you, diverse. And you don't see the colors of the rainbow just constantly trying to pull themselves apart from one another, as if they're not created to coexist with one another, But they can't coexist with one another if they don't recognize and appreciate and are tolerant of each other's differences. And if we're going to be better as humans, we've got to come to a place where we're open to dialogue and are able to be tolerant with ideas that are not like ours, with people that didn't look like us, that don't talk like us, that may challenge our methodologies of how we believe this thing should be done. We can get better at this thing, beloved. God created us to be, He created us phenomenal. There is nothing that we can't do. We just have to practice so that we become better at it. We've just gotten accustomed to practicing the opposite, practicing the stuff that tears and pulls us down. We practice that stuff. We just practice it and we become really good at it. He said, but you can flip the light switch on and practice something different. You can flip the light switch on and practice something different. So you just have to make up your mind that I want to see the good in people. I'm going to see the good in people. I'm going to search for the good in people. I'm going to be open to dialogue and be tolerant of ideas and methodologies that may not align with mine. I'm going to be tolerant. You just have to flip the switch on, beloved. And again, it's not about becoming perfect. Let me say that again. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about getting better and better and better and better. You can't think that you're just going to start this thing today and you're going to be, highly proficient at it tomorrow. No. But you can keep becoming better, practicing it so that you become better and better and better and better, because practice makes us better. You begin practicing lifting up others. This is how we learn. This is how we learned in school. The teacher made us do it over and over and over. We just practiced it. And then we built, they gave us a lesson that built on a previous lesson, and then another lesson that built on that lesson, and then another lesson that built on that. And we just kept gaining momentum. Well, it's the same way in life. The principle doesn't change, beloved. It's just the situations that change. And if we're going to get better in our interaction with others, as human beings, as global citizens, as world citizens, in a world comprised of human beings, then we're going to just have to practice lifting people up instead of engaging them to judge them and then tear them down. Just got to practice it, because practice makes us better. Practice makes us better. And God is saying, I'm trying to get you out of your old way of life. I'm trying to renew your mind back before you allowed all the junk to distort your vision, your truth. I'm just trying to get you back to a place where you can begin to try the Spirit by the Spirit, where you're able to see beyond human labels and you're able to see the person for who they are, so that you can engage the person as a human and not as a black person or a white person or a Christian or a Muslim or a Democrat or a Republican, but as a human being. You said you just got to practice it. And you got to know that you're not going to make, leaps and bounds in growth overnight. Don't create these unrealistic expectations. But know that you can get better and better and better and better and better. And it may be a process that takes the entirety of your life to really get good at it. But length of time doesn't determine whether or not you can get better at something. That's not the barometer with regards to whether you can get better at it because it takes you longer than it takes someone else. Because you're not in competition with them. You're in competition with getting better than you were on yesterday. getting better than you were last week, last month, last year. That's it. That's it. You just want to practice to get better. Not keeping up with this person or not keeping up with that person. Because I'm sure there are some things about you that maybe they can't keep up with you. But it's not about the competition. Not externally anyway. It is about challenging yourself to continually get better and better and better. It's practice that makes us better, beloved. Again, whether it's in our roles in our families, whether it's with our gifts, whether it's with our interactions with others, whether it's as it relates to us standing up for God by standing up for good. What do you stand for? Not who you stand with, but for. And again, that's not to beat yourself up, but it is for you to stand in the mirror and be honest with yourself. Because again, a life that's not worth examining is a life that's not worth living, because you're not going to grow, you're not going to get better unless you're honest with yourself. So what do you stand for? Again, we get so caught up with who we stand with. And it ain't about what I stand for, it's just about the fact that I'm a Democrat. It ain't about what I stand for, it's just, or it ain't even about what you stand for, it's just the fact that you are a Republican. Who we stand with has become more important than what we stand for. But that doesn't have to be, the final strip to the play. Maybe that's where the hero in the movie goes through his down days, the challenges that then make you think, oh, is he gonna get it better? Is he gonna come out of that? Will he live, or are they gonna kill him? Maybe that's just where we are in the movie, where now the main character is being challenged, and the main character is having to find something within himself that then allows him to overcome where he currently may be, or she may be. So again, it ain't about beating yourself up. It's about deciding that I'm going to practice that I might get better at this thing. And I'm going to practice that I might get better at this thing. And yeah, I may not stand up for all the things that I know I really want to stand up for. Sometimes I vacillate, and sometimes it's like, maybe I'm like a leaf being tossed to and fro, and I'm here this day, and I want to be better at that. I really want to be better at that. It's just a matter of practicing, beloved. It's just a matter of practicing, beloved. Maybe you have to play a game of integrity with yourself, where you just decide at the beginning of the day, hey, you know what? This certain characteristic, I know I want to get better at that. So today, I'm going to focus on that characteristic all day long. And I'm going to win this game. Make it a daily game. It don't have to be, many of us, we again, unrealistic expectations. So we take the day and we say, you know what, for the rest of my life, I ain't going to do this no more. For the rest of my life, come on. Make it, give yourself, make it a day. Get through the day. Because if you can get through the day, then maybe you can get through tomorrow. And if you can get through to tomorrow, then maybe you can get through to the next day. But creating all these unexpected, unrealistic, expectations or demands on you. Come on, don't do that to yourself. Play the daily integrity game. Well, you say, okay, if it's love, or if it's mercy, or if it's compassion, or if it's tolerance, or if it's gratitude, or if it's selflessness, or generosity, or honesty, or patience, or if it's doing unto others that what you would have done unto you, if it's loyalty, whatever it is, just play the game with yourself for the day, not for the rest of your life, but let the day be the day that you start and get through today. And decide, okay, you know what? I'm going to play this game, the integrity game. And today, I'm going to focus on, and this is going to be the word of today. And I'm going to make sure that I win this battle today. in not deviating from my word of today. And when you win, celebrate it. Don't just blow it off like, oh, well, okay, yep, I was supposed to, yep. No, celebrate it, because if you lose, you're going to beat yourself up. So if you win, learn to celebrate. Make it a game, beloved. Reward yourself as if it is a game, because life is a game anyway. So reward yourself. Play the game. And then even if you lose, don't beat yourself up. Just make yourself have to do something that you probably wouldn't otherwise do. Eat something healthy. If you don't like eating healthy food, and that's your challenge for if you deviate from your word of the day, then if you don't eat broccoli, okay, well, if I lose, then I've got to eat broccoli. But don't beat yourself up. Just make it fun. Make it a game. Make it something that you look forward to. But, nobody looks forward to at the end of the day beating themselves up. Well, I knew I couldn't do it because I must be stupid. And I knew this. That takes all the fun out of the game. That makes you not even want to practice this thing, because, it's going to be hard enough because, again, you didn't just become the person you are overnight. The habits that have formed you, they've been building over years. So relearning this thing and replacing them with better habits may take some time. But if you're going, at the moment you fall, just berate yourself and just, go all in and beating yourself down, then you're not going to want to play the game. Soon you're going to stop playing the game altogether. But if you can make it fun, I don't really like exercising, but if I deviate from being honest today, then I'm going to have to walk around my neighborhood. And I know I don't want to walk, so okay. But it's still fun enough to where, it ain't just so heavy that you don't want to play the game. You don't want to practice, because it's all just practicing, beloved. I know we look at situations and we make them super serious, and oh my God, this was serious, and oh my God, I should have known better. And it's just a situation, beloved. It's just a situation that either you can assess it as a game, or you can assess it as, don't make a mound. What's that? Don't make a mountain out of molehill. When you fall, you just have to realize that, man, I've been this person for however long, but I'm not just saying that that's justifiable. No, I'm growing into something better. I'm constantly growing into something better. I'm practicing becoming something better. But I'm not unrealistic in thinking that if I possess this bad habit for 30, 40 years, that, I may not fall from time to time. This is why I believe Jesus taught us to pray, Father, lead us not into temptation, because he knew that in our growth, we would encounter some temptations that we would fall to, that would just overtake us. Because we're growing doesn't mean that we've apprehended. That's why he said, hey, pray, lead us not into temptation. Because some of them, we're just not strong enough today. Doesn't mean we won't be strong enough next week or next month or next year. But today, we're just not strong enough. This is why, you can't take a drug addict that just got out of rehab today and surround him with drugs tomorrow, because doesn't mean that a year from now he won't be able to go into the crack house and be like, hey, hey man, there's a better way. But today may not have the strength. So pray, Father, lead us not into certain temptations, because some of them we may not be strong enough at this point to be able to overcome them, because I've got years and years and years of these habits having built up in me, and now it may take some time to completely eradicate them, but I can keep practicing, and I can keep getting better at it, and I can keep getting better at it, and because practice makes us better. This is all I'm trying to impress upon you, beloved. This is all I'm trying to impress upon you. That practice makes us better. Practice helps us to stand for and make that more important than who we stand with. It's about integrity. And sometimes growing in our integrity is just a matter of finding peace. This is why you have so many people that meditate, quiet their minds, try to enter into a state of peace. Because for most of us, it's only the desperation or the thoughts of desperation that creates the framework for us to then have lapses in our integrity. It's just the temptation lead us not into certain temptations because they'll overtake us. And typically it's when we find ourselves in desperate situations. So then if it's the desperation that creates the lapses of integrity in my life, then maybe I need to meditate so that I can calm my mind. I can calm my mind. I can quiet my mind that I might enter into a state of peace so I don't feel desperate. So I don't look at it as a situation of desperation. So then I might be able to not fall prey to the temptation that then causes me to have a lapse in my integrity. It's just a matter of playing, babe. It's just a matter of playing, beloved. It's just a matter of practicing so that we become better. Just practice, whatever the area of desire in your life, whatever it may be. If you can look at it and say, hey, this is an aspect of life that I want to become better at. This is an aspect. I'm not creating unrealistic expectations. I'm putting my stake in the sand and I'm saying that I'm going to get better at this. I'm not saying, I'm going to be expert in a month, but I am going to be diligent in practicing so that I get better at it. Whatever the area in your life. If there's a desire and you can see that, you know what, if I become better at this, then it makes me better at attaining that which I desire, then just decide that, hey, I'm gonna practice to become better at that thing. Whether it be procrastination, something that I deal with, just have to practice. Just have to, if you just have to make yourself get started, don't create, if you know procrastination is one of those habits that has gripped your life and created habit, then don't tell yourself, oh, well, you know what, I got to get through all this. I got to get it all done. No. Make it fun. Just tell yourself, I got to get through the first 10 minutes of this thing. I just got to get started and get through the first 10 minutes. Get you a stopwatch. Get whatever you need to get. But just get through the first 10 minutes. Just decide, hey, I know procrastination is an enemy of mine. And I know that if I sit down and think about it too long and think about all that I've got to do to get this thing done, I'm probably going to procrastinate again. So instead of thinking about getting it all done, I'm just going to get a stopwatch and I'm going to set it for 10 minutes. And if after 10 minutes I'm ready to stop, I'm going to stop. And just practice that. But if you don't feel like stopping, set it for another 10 minutes. And I guarantee, because I've done it myself, you'll be surprised how fast those 10 minutes go. And once you get into the groove of things, then, the inertia is always at the beginning. The hardest part of getting going in anything is actually getting started. But once you get started, you start practicing that thing, you'll realize, man, that was 10 minutes already. Okay, let me set it again because, wow, that came much too quick. And it just helps you to practice getting over procrastination. God gave us some incredible minds, beloved. He gave us some incredible minds. We just have to use them in creative ways to help us to practice things that help us to become better. We can think of anything. We just have to become focused on thinking about the things that we can practice to make us become better. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. Whether it's your struggle with planning things and sticking to your plans, creating smart plans that are time sensitive. So just start practicing. Practice doing first things first. Not that which seems urgent, but that which seems important. Just practice. Just begin practicing. And you'll get better. You'll get better. Whatever it is, you'll get better. Because practice makes us better. Practice makes us better, beloved. And for all of us, it's about being better, doing better, that we might build better, both individually and collectively. So thank you for, again, giving me a few moments of your time this evening. To everybody that decided to tune in, I'm certainly grateful and appreciative that you gave me a few moments of your evening this evening. I hope that I've said something that helps us to realize that we can be better. In every facet of our lives, we can be better. May not be instantaneous. It may not be overnight. It may come, with some herky-jerky movement where you start and it seems like for every step forward you take a few steps back, but you just have to keep practicing to get better. And if you are diligent and determined to practice, I can assure you that you'll get there. You'll get there. You'll reap the harvest of the seeds that you sow. Start practicing sowing better seeds. Start focusing on the things you desire and not the things that you feel like are missing. The things that you have. Not focusing on what's missing. Because you'll start to attract more of that which you desire, more of that which you have. You'll get there. You just got to start practicing. And there's no better place to start practicing than right where you are, right here, right now. Just got to figure out what it is that I need, what I want to get better at. What is it that I need to get better at? What is it that I desire to get better at? And just begin practicing, because practice makes us better. So again, thank you for sharing with me this evening. I do love you so much. I've been having a few tough days of late, just kind of being isolated in this room. It's just kind of beginning to weigh on me a little bit. And I'm so grateful that I get to share with you all, because it allows me to kind of get out of my own head and make the connections that creates, a dynamic or a synergy that helps to get me through these days. So again, as much as I hope that I'm giving to you, you're providing to me as well. So I say thank you to you for giving me the opportunity to share with you my gifts, my talents, what God has created me to do in helping us all to be better, to do better, and to build better. So enjoy the remainder of your evening, beloved. Love those that you get the opportunity to love. Laugh, play, love, serve, grow, and practice. Do the work of practicing. Do the work of practicing, because practice truly makes us better. I love you. Have a great night. And if it's God's will, we'll do this thing again tomorrow. Goodbye.